The Railway Servants Discipline and Appeal Rules 1968. Importance of discipline. Discipline is important in any organized activity. It includes teamwork, cooperation, and influences productivity. Absence of discipline may mean inefficiency and even chores. Supervisors and managers have an important role in maintaining or disturbing discipline. Constitutional provisions. Article 310 accepts the principle that central government employees hold their positions during the pleasure of the President, who is in control of their discipline. Under Article 311 of 1, no civil servant shall be removed or dismissed from service by an authority subordinate to the authority who appointed him. As per the Article 311 of 2, no civil servant shall be removed or dismissed from service or reduced in rank without an inquiry in which he is informed of the charges against him and is given a reasonable opportunity to be heard about those charges. This article brings up the concept of appointing authority and reasonable opportunity. Principles of natural justice. Principle of natural justice are the principle which laid out and elaborate the reasonable opportunity which should be given to the charged employee. Chanakya emphasized that a punishment should be imposed only after a complete and systematic inquiry. Vidur talks of the charges being proved before imposing a punishment and also about the exact dose of the punishment. Chief Justice S.R. Sinha of Supreme Court of India points out the following principles. Nobody can be judge in his own cause. None should be condemned without being heard. All decisions should be made in good faith. Several elaborations or additions have been made to the above noted principles. The hearing must be impartial. Reasonable opportunity should be given to defend the case. Reasons for decisions should be made known to the accused. The charges should be intimated in advance. Justice should not only be done, it should also appear to have been done. These principles are very important and should be kept in mind like the words of Gita, Bible or Quran. The Railway Servants Discipline and Appeal Rules 1968 has the following parts. In exercise of the powers conferred by the Proviso to Article 309 of the Constitution of India, the President hereby makes the following rules, namely: Part 1, General, from Rule number 1 to Rule number 3. Part 2, Suspension, Rule number 4 and Rule number 5. Part 3, Penalties and Disciplinary Authorities, Rule number 6 to Rule number 8. Part 4, Procedure for imposing penalties, from Rule number 9 to Rule number 16. Part 5, Appeals, from Rule number 17 to Rule number 24. Part 6, Revision and Reviews, Rule number 25. Part 7, Miscellaneous, from Rule number 26 to Rule number 31. Apart from these rules, there are 3 schedules and 7 appendices. Part 1, General. Rule number 1, Short title and commencement. These rules may be called the Railway Servants Discipline and Appeal Rules 1968. They shall come into force on the first day of October 1968. Rule number 2, Definitions. Appointing authority. Appointing authority in relation to railway servant means the authority to make appointments to the service of which the railway servant is, for the time being, a member, or to the grade or the service in which the railway servant is, for the time being, included, or the authority empowered to make appointments to the post which the railway servant for the time being holds, or the authority which appointed the railway servant to such service, grade, or post as the case may be, or where the railway servant, having been a permanent member of any other service, or having substantively held any other permanent post, has been in continuous employment under the Ministry of Railway. The authority which appointed him to that service, or to any grade in that service, or to that post, whichever authority is the highest authority. Next, disciplinary authority. In relation to the imposition of a penalty on a railway servant, the authority competent to impose on him the penalty. In relation to Rule number 9, major penalty, and Clause A and Clause B of Sub-Rule 1 of Rule number 11, in the case of any gazetted railway servant, an authority competent to impose any of the penalties specified in Rule number 6 In relation to rule number 9, in the case of any non-gazetted railway servant, an authority competent to impose major penalties specified in rule number 6. In relation to clause A and clause B, sub rule 1 of rule 11, in the case of non-gazetted railway servant, an authority competent to impose any of the penalties specified in rule number 6. Rule number 3, application. These rules shall apply to every railway servant but shall not apply to any member of the All India Services, any member of the Railway Protection Force as defined in the Railway Protection Force Act 1957, 23 of 1957, any person in casual employment, and any person for whom special provision is made in respect of matters covered by these rules by or under any law for the time being in force, or by or under any agreement entered into by or with the previous approval of the President before or after the commencement of these rules in regard to matters covered by such special provisions. Number 2. Notwithstanding any contained in sub rule number 1, the President may by order exclude any class of railway servants from the operation of all or any of these rules. Action against casual labor. Discipline rules do not apply to casual laborers, but they do apply when the casual labor has attained temporary status. In any case, the procedure of a show cause and reasonable opportunity is desirable in cases not covered by DAR. Part 2. Suspension. Rule number 4. Authorities competent to place a railway servant under suspension. The classes of railway servants who may be placed under suspension and the authorities by whom they may be so placed shall be as specified in Schedule 1, 2 and 3, provided that in exceptional circumstances any authority specified in any of the schedule may place any subordinate railway servant specified therein under suspension, provided further that where any action is taken under the foregoing proviso, the authority concerned shall forthwith report to the authority competent to place such railway servant under suspension the circumstances in which the order was made and obtain his approval. Rule number 5. Suspension. A railway servant may be placed under suspension where a disciplinary proceeding against him is contemplated or is pending, or where in the opinion of the authority competent to place a railway servant under suspension, he has engaged himself in activities prejudicial to the interest of the security of the state, or where a case against him in respect of any criminal offence is under investigation, inquiry or trial. Number 2. A railway servant shall be deemed to have been placed under suspension by an order of the competent authority, with effect from the date of his detention, if he is detained in custody, whether on a criminal charge or otherwise, for a period exceeding 48 hours, with effect from the date of his conviction, if in the event of a conviction for an offence, he is sentenced to a term of imprisonment exceeding 48 hours and is not forthwith dismissed or removed or compulsorily retired consequent to such conviction. Issue of orders of deemed suspension. In case of deemed suspension, the competent authority issues a formal order of suspension in the prescribed form as soon as the circumstances come to his notice. This order is effective from the earlier date of deemed suspension. Separate forms are used for deemed and other suspensions. Authority competent to suspend. An employee may be placed under suspension by any of the following authorities: appointing authority, any authority to which the appointing authority is subordinate; disciplinary authority, any authority who has been empowered to place the employee under suspension; revocation of suspension. The suspension continues till the order of suspension is modified or revoked by the competent authority who placed the employee under suspension or by the higher authority. Subsistence allowance is granted to employees under suspension, equal to leave salary on half average pay and allowance admissible in such pay. Deduction of PF, court attachment and fines cannot be recovered. House rent, water charges, diet charges, electrical charges, repayment of advances, station debits, income tax, losses and doctor's fee under contract system will be recovered. Recoveries other than these such as cooperative society dues, institute fees, LIC premium, school fee and refund of SBF and PF loans may be made on written request of employee. Regularization of the suspension period. The suspension period is not regularized till the disciplinary proceedings are finalized. This means that there will be no regularization after the revocation and the case will wait till it is finalized. In case the employee is fully exonerated in a court case or awarded only minor penalty in a disciplinary case, the period may be regularized by the competent authority as period spent on duty on the basis that the suspension was wholly unjustified. But in a court case, if the employee was placed on probation or let off on benefit of doubt, it will mean that the suspension was not wholly unjustified and the period cannot be regularized as spent on duty. The competent authority may regularize the periods as leave on the request of the employee, if not otherwise regularized. The period will remain as suspension but will not cause any break in service and will count as service for payment of settlement dues on retirement. Effects of suspension. Service conditions. The suspended employee remains a government employee for all practical purposes. Various service conditions remain applicable to him except where specifically laid down. Headquarters. The last place of duty will continue to be his headquarters. The request for a change in headquarters may be granted if there is no extra expenditure or other complications. Promotion. An employee under suspension cannot be promoted. However, he will be called for selection, written test, and viva voce. His result will be kept in a sealed cover and a provisional panel will be published. He will be considered for promotion after finalization of the disciplinary proceedings. Forwarding of application for deputation, assignment of foreign training, etc. are not permitted. Resignation will not be accepted normally, but if it is considered only in public interest, it may be accepted. Voluntary retirement. This right is not freely available and is subject to the approval of the appointing authority. Leave. No leave will be sanctioned. Traveling allowance may be allowed if inquiry is held at an outstation. Part 3. Penalties and disciplinary authorities. Rule number 6. Penalties. The following penalties may, for good and sufficient reasons and as hereinafter provided, be imposed on a railway servant, namely minor penalties. Number 1. Censure. Number 2. Withholding of his promotion for a specified period. Number 3. Recovery from his pay of the whole or part of any pecuniary loss caused by him to the government or railway administration by negligence or breach of order. 3A. Withholding of privilege passes or privilege ticket orders or both. 3B. Reduction to a lower stage in the time scale of pay by one stage or a period not exceeding 3 years without cumulative effect and not adversely affecting his pension. 4. Withholding of increments of pay for a specified period with further directions as to whether on the expiry of such period this will or will not have the effect of postponing the future increments of his pay. Next, major penalties. Number 5. Same as provided for in clause 3b, reduction to a lower stage in the time scale of pay for a specified period, with further directions as to whether on the expiry of such period the reduction will or will not have the effect of postponing the future increments of his pay. 6. Reduction to a lower time scale of pay, grade, post or service with or without further directions regarding conditions of restoration to the grade or post or service from which the railway servant was reduced, and his seniority and pay on such restoration to that grade, post or service. 7. Compulsory retirement. 8. Removal from service, which shall not be a disqualification for future employment under the government or railway administration. 9. Dismissal from service, which shall ordinarily be a disqualification for future employment under the government or railway administration. These are not penalties. Withholding of increment for failure to pass the required departmental examination. Stoppage at efficiency bar for failure to cross it. Non-promotion when eligible and considered but not found suitable. Revision to lower post, grade or service when considered unsuitable after promotion. Revision at the end of probation as per rules of probation. Replacement when service borrowed from another department. Compulsory retirement as per rules. Termination after probation or other conditions when made as per service agreements. Discharge for inefficiency for failure to pass standard of physical fitness or reduction of employment. Rule number 7. Disciplinary authorities. The President may impose any of the penalties specified in Rule number 6 on any railway servant without prejudice to the provisions of Sub-Rule 1. Any of the penalties specified in Rule number 6 may be imposed on a railway servant by the authority specified in Schedules 1, 2 and 3. The disciplinary authority in the case of a railway servant officiating in a higher post shall be determined with reference to the officiating post held by him at the time of taking action. Rule number 8. Authority to institute proceedings. The President or any other authority empowered by him by general or special order may institute disciplinary proceedings against any railway servant. Direct a disciplinary authority to institute disciplinary proceedings against any railway servant on whom the disciplinary authority is competent to impose. Under these rules, any of the penalties specified in Rule number 6 Part 4. Procedure for imposing penalties. Rule number 9. Procedure for imposing major penalties. No order imposing any of the penalties specified in clauses 5 to 9 of rule number 6 shall be made except after an inquiry held, as far as may be, in the manner provided in this rule and rule number 10, or in the manner provided by the Public Servants Inquiries Act 1850, 37 of 1850, where such inquiry is held under that Act. Whenever the disciplinary authority is of the opinion that there are grounds for inquiring into the truth of any imputation of misconduct or misbehavior against a railway servant, it may itself inquire into or appoint under this rule or under the provisions of the Public Servant Inquiries Act 1850. As the case may be, a board of inquiry or other authority to inquire into the truth thereof. Where a board of inquiry is appointed under sub-rule 2, it shall consist of not less than 2 members, each of whom shall be higher in rank than the railway servant against whom the inquiry is being held, and none of whom shall be subordinate to the other member or members, as the case may be, of such board. Where the board of inquiry consists of 2 or more than 2 members, the senior member shall be presiding officer. Every decision of the board of inquiries shall be passed by majority of votes, and where there is an equality of votes on the findings, the finding of each member shall be incorporated in the report prepared under clause 1 of sub-rule 25, where it is proposed to hold an inquiry against a railway servant under this rule and rule 10. The disciplinary authority shall draw up or cause to drawn up. The disciplinary authority shall deliver or cause to be delivered to the railway servant a copy of the articles of charge, the statement of the imputations of misconduct or misbehavior, and a list of documents and witnesses by which each article of charge is proposed to be sustained, and shall require the railway servant to submit a written statement of his defence within 10 days, or such further time is as the disciplinary authority may allow. The railway servant may, for the purpose of his defence, submit with the written statement of his defence a list of witnesses to be examined in his behalf. On receipt of the written statement of defence, the disciplinary authority shall consider the same and decide whether the inquiry should be proceeded with under this rule. Where the disciplinary authority decides to proceed with the inquiry, It may itself inquire into such of the articles of charge as are not admitted or appoint under sub-rule 2 a board of inquiry or other authority for the purpose. The disciplinary authority shall, where it is not inquiring authority, forward to the inquiring authority a copy of the article of charge and the statement of the imputation of misconduct or misbehavior, a copy of the written statement of defense, if any, submitted by the railway servant, a copy of the statement of witnesses, if any, referred to in sub-rule 6. Rule number 10, action on the inquiry report. If the disciplinary authority, after considering the inquiry report, is of the opinion that further examination of any of the witnesses is necessary in the interest of justice, it may recall the said witness and examine, cross-examine and re-examine the witness. Is not itself the inquiring authority may, for reasons to be recorded by it in writing, remit the case to the inquiring authority for further inquiry and report, and the inquiring authority shall thereupon proceed to hold further inquiry according to provisions of rule number 9 as far as may be. Defense counsel. The charged employee may present his case with the help of another person who is known as defense counsel or defense helper. The counsel could be another official of the same organization or a retired official of the same organization or a trade union official of a recognized union, but he should not be a legal practitioner. He should not be associated with the case in his official capacity. Ex parte inquiry. All the procedures as laid down will be followed except that the employee does not present himself and does not respond to communications. It may be done when the charged employee refuses to participate despite repeated sittings, but not when he is submitting medical certificate of sickness. Rule number 11, procedure for imposing minor penalties. Subject to the provisions of subclause 4 of clause A of subrule 9 of rule 9 and subrule 4 of rule 10, no order imposing on a railway servant any of the penalties specified in clause 1 to clause 4 of rule 6 shall be made except after informing the railway servant in writing of the proposal of take action against him and of the imputations of misconduct or misbehavior on which it is proposed to be taken, and giving him a reasonable opportunity of making such representation as he may wish to make against the proposal. Holding an inquiry in a manner laid down in Sub-Rule 6 to 25 of Rule number 9, in every case in which the disciplinary authority is of the opinion that such inquiry is necessary. Taking the representation, if any, submitted by the railway servant under clause A, and the record of inquiry, if any, held under the clause B into consideration, recording a finding on each imputation of misconduct or misbehavior, consulting the commission where such consultation is necessary. Rule number 12, communication of orders. Orders may be the disciplinary authority which would also contain its findings on each article of charge shall be communicated to the railway servant, who shall also be supplied with a copy of the advice, if any, given by the commission, and where the disciplinary authority has not accepted the advice of the commission, a brief statement of the reason for such non-acceptance. Rule number 13, common proceedings. Where two or more railway servants are concerned, in any case, the President or any other authority competent to impose the penalty of dismissal from service on all such railway servants may make an order directing the disciplinary action against all of them may be taken in a common proceedings. Rule number 14, special procedures in certain cases. Notwithstanding anything contained in rule number 9 to 13. Rule number 15, provision regarding railway servants lent to state governments, etc. Rule number 16, provisions regarding officers borrowed from central or state governments, etc. Part 5, appeals. Rule number 17, orders against which no appeal lies. Notwithstanding anything contained in this part, no appeal shall lie against any order made by the President, any order of an interlocutory nature or of the nature of stepinate of the final disposal of a disciplinary proceeding, other than an order of suspension. Any order passed by an inquiring authority in the course of an inquiry under rule number 9. Rule number 18, orders against which appeal lies. Subject to the provision of rule number 17, a railway servant may prefer an appeal against all or any of the following orders, namely, an order of suspension made or deemed to have been made under rule number 5, an order imposing any of the penalties specified in rule number 6, whether made by the disciplinary authority or by an appellate or revising authority. An order enhancing any penalty imposed under rule number 6. Rule number 19. Appellate authorities. A railway servant, including a person who has ceased to be in railway service, may prefer an appeal against all or any of the orders specified in rule number 18 to the authority specified in this behalf, either in the schedules or where no such authority is specified. Where a penalty is imposed by a revising authority under rule 25 to the authority to which it is immediately subordinate, where a penalty is enhanced either in appeal or on revision to the authority to which the authority making the order is immediately subordinate. In case of an appeal against an order specified in clause 5 of rule 18, in respect of railway servant on whom the penalty of dismissal from service can be imposed only by the President to the President, and in respect of any other railway servant to the authority to which the authority making the order is immediately subordinate. Rule number 20. Period of limitations for appeals. No appeal preferred under this part shall be entertained unless such appeal is preferred within a period of 45 days from the date on which a copy of the order appealed against is delivered to the appellant, provided that the appellate authority may entertain the appeal after the expiry of the said period if it is satisfied that the appellant had sufficient cause for not preferring. Rule number 21. Form and contents and submission of appeal. Every person preferring an appeal shall do so separately and in his own name. An appeal forwarded through or countersigned by a legal practitioner or an assisting railway servant or a railway trade union official shall not be entertained, but shall be returned with the direction to submit it under the signature of the appellant only. Rule number 22. Consideration of appeal. In the case of an appeal against an order of suspension, the appellate authority shall consider whether, in the light of the provisions of rule number 5 and having regard to the circumstances of the case, the order of suspension is justified or not, and confirm or revoke the order accordingly. In the case of an appeal against an order imposing any of the penalties specified in rule number 6 or enhancing any penalty imposed under the said rule, the appellate authority shall consider. Rule number 23. Implementation of orders in appeal. The authority which made the order appealed against shall give effect to the orders passed by the appellate authority. Rule number 24. Special provisions for non-gazetted staff. A Group C railway servant who has been dismissed, removed or compulsorily retired from service may, after his appeal to the appropriate appellate authority has been disposed of and within 45 days thereafter, apply to the general manager for a revision of the penalty imposed on him. In this application, he may, if he so chooses, request the general manager to refer the case to the Railway Rates Tribunal for advice before he disposes of the revision petition. On receipt of such request, the general manager shall refer the case to the chairman, Railway Rates Tribunal for advice, sending all relevant papers. On receipt of revision application by the general manager or on receipt of advice from the Railway Rates Tribunal, as the case may be, the general manager shall dispose of the application in accordance with the procedure laid down in rule number 25 and pass such orders as he may think fit. Part 6. Revision and review. Rule number 25. Revision. Notwithstanding anything contained in these rules, the President or the Railway Board or the General Manager of Railway Administration or an authority that status in the case of railway servant serving under his control or the appellate authority not below the rank of divisional railway manager in cases where no appeal has been preferred, or any other authority not below the rank of deputy head of the department in the case of railway servant serving under his control. No proceeding for revision shall be commenced until after the expiry of the period of limitation for appeal or the disposal of the appeal where any such appeal has been preferred. Rule number 25A. Review. The President may at any time, either on his own motion or otherwise, review any order passed under these rules when any new material or evidence which could not be produced or was not available at the time of passing the order under review and which has the effect of changing the nature of the case has come or has been brought to his notice, provided that no order imposing or enhancing any penalty shall be made by the President unless the railway servant concerned has been given a reasonable opportunity of making a representation against the penalty proposed, or where it is proposed to impose any of the major penalty specified in rule number 6, or to enhance the minor penalty imposed by the order sought to be reviewed to any of the major penalties, and if an enquiry under rule number 9 has not already been held in the case. No such penalty should be imposed except after inquiring in the manner laid down in rule number 9, subject to the provisions of rule number 14 and except after consultation with the Commission where such consultation is necessary. Part 7 Miscellaneous. Rule number 26 Service of orders, notices, etc. Every order, notice and other process made or issued under these rules shall be served in person on the railway servant concerned or communicated to him by registered post. Rule number 27 Power to relax time limit and to condone delay. Rule number 28 Supply of copy of Commission's advice. Rule number 29 Repeal and saving. Rule number 30 Removal of doubts. If any doubt arises as to the interpretation of any of the provisions of these rules, the matter shall be referred to the President through the Railway Board and the President shall decide the same. Rule number 31 Right to submit petition to the President. Nothing in these rules shall operate to deprive a railway servant from exercising his right to submitting the petition to the President in accordance with the instructions contained in Appendix 2 to the Indian Railway Establishment Code, Volume 1, 5th edition, 1985. Standard forms for use in disciplinary proceedings mentioned in Appendix 2. Standard form number 1 SF1 Order of suspension under Rule 5 of 1. SF2 Order of deeming a railway servant under suspension under Rule 5 of 2. SF3 Certificate to be furnished by suspended official under Rule 2043 of 1 of R2, Rule 1342 of 2, 1987 edition. SF4 Order of revocation of suspension under Rule number 5 of C. SF5 Charge sheet of major penalty under Rule number 9. SF6 Refusing of permission to inspect documents. SF7 Appointment of inquiry or board of inquiry. SF8 Appointment of presenting officer. SF9 not printed. SF10 Disciplinary action in common proceedings. SF10A Appointment of enquiring authority in common proceedings. SF10B Appointment of presenting officer in common proceedings. SF11 Memorandum of charges for imposing minor penalties. SF11B Charge sheet for initiation of major penalty proceedings in case where disciplinary authority decides to hold the inquiry under rule number 11 of 1 of B or rule number 11 of 2. SF 11C, taking disciplinary action for minor penalty where charge sheet for major penalty was initially issued. SF 12, memorandum where action is proposed under rule number 14(1). SF 13, standard form of sanction under rule number 2308 R2 of rule number 9 MRPR. SF 14, standard form of charge sheet for proceedings under rule number 2308 R2. Time schedule for DAR. Number 1, answering the charges. Time limit is 10 days. Number 2, inspection of documents if requested by the employee, 15 days. Number 3, submission of reply after 2. Time limit is 10 days. Number 4, if the inspection of 2 is not agreed to within 10 days of refusal. Serial number 5, final defense from charged employee in case of major penalty. Time limit is 10 days. Serial number 6, reply statement after receipt of enquiry report, 15 days. Serial number 7, appeal, 45 days. Serial number 8, revision, 45 days. Appellate authority or revision authority may entertain the petition after expiry of the prescribed 45 days time if it is satisfied that the charged employee had sufficient cause for not preferring in time. Time limit for disposal. No time limit has been prescribed in the rule for disposal of appeal and revision. Thank you.